Alright, now that we have the majority of the bracelet done, I just have a few more beads to put on here, and then we'll add the clasp. And then we'll be able to complete the bracelet. And I hope that you all found this be pretty easy. I will also show you the bicone version that I did, because it's really nice. And I'm sorry you guys had to wait so long to get to the second row, but I hope it was worth it. I think if I'd have done the second row before Christmas, then none of my Christmas presents would have gotten done. 4 and 5. And the reason why this one came out a little shorter, again, is we're using a double-stranded clasp, so you have to kind of build up into that, which does make the end a little longer. Than when you're doing the single. And I just have one more bead and then we'll do the clasp. Okay, now I've got the full 2 rows completed. We're going to work I'm just going to work with this end that I've got the needle on, and we're going to work one end of the clasp. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to string on 2 seed beads and then 5. So a total of 7 on one side, but just think of it as 2 and 5. So I'm going to bring those down. And then I'm going to take half of the toggle clasp, and I want to start with the loop just in case you need to add a little extra to make the bar work, which you shouldn't have to do in this case, but just in case, it's always best to start with that loop end. Now if your seed beads are going to roll through the loop of your toggle, then you might want to cut them down, but in this case they're not going to. So again, this is why I wanted you to think of it as 2 and 5. I'm going to string on 5. And then I'm going to bring it back down through those 2 seed beads that we started with. And I'm going to go ahead and run it down through the 2 core beads, the needle down through the 2 core beads, and I'm going to pull, and that's going to bring up, makes the loop for the toggle here. And I'm going to run it up through, just like you would when you're building the clasp on the other one. You're going to run it back through several beads around, back up through the loop that you made for the toggle, and then do a couple of half hitch knots to secure the thread, and then you'll do the same for the other half. So you just want to bring this through a couple of times just so you can get a good reinforcement on the thread and the seed bead loop that you created. You can cut that. Seems like that tail. Okay. I'm going to go back through this loop. Up through these 2 seed beads that we started with, and back through the toggle and back down, and do a couple of half hitch knots before you start the other side. So I went through this flap, so I'm going to go back through these two, back down my core beads, I'm going to come back up through this flap here, back through the shared bicone and the shared seed beads. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back down through the core beads and start knotting. And again, a half hitch knot's when you catch a thread with your needle and you bring it up underneath it. And you run your needle through that loop you created. Pull, and just go on down. Do this 2 or 3 times. And then you can snip your thread. I'm going to cut it. And then you'll rethread your needle to this other tail. You'll do the same thing here, and then you'll be able to do the bar end for the other end of the bracelet. Okay, now that I've completed the ends with the toggle on it, all I got to do, and I've half hitched knot, all I have to do is clip again this thread. And then this is how the loop and the toggle, the bar and the toggle work like this. And you have completed your bracelet. And I did want to show you what it looks like with the bicones. And again, with the bicone, you'll need to use one more bead than you did when you use a round. So this is the difference in how they look.